on, guys? Another episode of Buff's Brain. So, I'm right now just leaving a Super Bowl party. Just went over to Chris B's, and as we were leaving, it just it's fucking hard being a hockey fan and being around people who aren't hockey fans and have them talk about hockey. And being someone that's played the sport for like 15 years and just knowing the game better than really anyone else that I was with, or just like really people in general know the game. I know more, like I just know how it is, like more than the average person. Like I played the game, lived the game, breathed the game for 15 years. From 3 to 18, it was just ate, slept, rested, watched just everything hockey. And it's just like there are common misconceptions about hockey that I just need to get off my chest. The number one is that people are constantly thinking that hockey is a harder hitting game than football is. And it's not. It doesn't have like that CTE type of hitting to it, which is what everyone was referring to. They're like, oh, they're on skates, they're on ice, they're going faster, the ice is harder than turf. And I'm like, all right. I was like, first off, you can't board people. So boarding is just when like you leave your feet and you're just like being super outrageous. You can fuck someone up in football. You can leave your feet and just fucking demolish someone. So, especially, with them throwing in like the no more helmet to helmet, trying to get a little bit stricter. It just the total dynamic of the game is just totally different. In football, you have two sides. You have an offensive and a defense who are just fighting for field position. It's just, it's two 11-man armies going against each other to try to gain ground. It's a very primitive sport. It's just guys trying to it's literally just, that's it. It's just two armies going at each other, trying to push the other ones back. And then with hockey, it's more like a basketball or lacrosse type of feel, where you get like a cycle going and you have more of like it's not about pushing forward, it's just more about getting something into a goal or into a net. So it just different feels right there. Like you can have like your offense, or like even soccer, like you have your offensive possession time and whatever. It's not like as if you're like, it's not the two armies pushing at each other. And then I do agree that maybe more than the average hockey player gets more bumps and dings than I think when I mean that, I would say like black and blues, contusions, or maybe not even contusions, to be honest. Just like the slashes they get more of, they get like the puck to the face, losing teeth, fights. That all goes towards hockey side. But when it comes down to the football side, in hockey you don't get someone's helmet to your quad. That fucking hurts. That shit is rough. But with hockey, including just like bringing in like simple physics, if you have a guy skating on ice, so he's going, say, 17 miles per hour up the boards, and you have another guy who's coming in, and he's coming, maybe like 8 miles per hour towards the other guy, accelerating to like, say, 10 miles per hour into the other dude, and the other guy, and it's all about positioning and like taking and knowing how to absorb a check and stuff. It's way easier to just, and the forces just aren't as parallel to each other. Honestly, when you see hits, they're more perpendicular. It's a guy trying to come up the boards. And then it's a dude coming across him and trying to cut off his position. But with football, you're coming up, and then you have another guy coming down, and you gotta lower your shoulder, and they lower their shoulder, and you fucking take that shit. So I think that's just like, it's just the overall, it's really just the way that the hits are distributed. And then when it comes down to hitting the ground, you have a pile of guys coming onto the ground with you, where people are tearing ACLs, MCLs, they're breaking their tib fib, they're popping hip joints out, they're getting high ankle sprains. You don't get that in hockey. You're not falling onto other people. You get hit. So you're coming down the boards, and some guy comes, and he hits you with a good one. He gets a good shoulder on you, and you fall to the ground. But you don't hit the ground and roll. You don't fall into a bunch of other guys. You fall onto ice and you slide forward and you hop back up on your feet less than a second later. And I think the overall mentality, this is when my bias comes in. I think the overall mentality in hockey is a more respectful and at times, I think it's a less vicious and more respectful, but it's just as violent, given slashing and stuff, high stick, getting a stick to the face. Oh, excuse me. Getting a stick to the face, fighting other guys, cross checks. I think those are the things that hockey players have to deal with more often, and those are the things that I would argue for that suck more as a hockey player. But for people to say that that hockey is a harder hitting sport than football is, honestly, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. I don't understand your point. And the only times where it really comes into play are when you get checked in the middle of the ice, which happens, once every 15-20 games that are played. So maybe you see a real good just open ice hit maybe once a week, twice a week, where someone really just gets clocked like that. I've watched the Islanders, and I don't really think that anyone's really gotten clocked like that. Or even if you're just standing there and a guy comes up to you and you're just fighting for the puck, and some guy comes up and he fucking shoves you out of the way or something, and you hit the ice. You hit the ice, and you've got elbow pads, you've got your pants on, you've got your chest protector, you got your, especially shin guards. You don't feel shit when you fall into your knees. All of that, I think, everything I've said so far goes towards the football side. Because, you get hit. The only thing that really goes towards hockey is getting hit in the face with a stick or a puck. Or even blocking shots, too. But everything else, I think getting hit in a quad with a helmet, or falling onto a pile of guys, or the way that hits are distributed and the forces are applied, and it's just all worse in football. That's why you can't tell me that hockey is a harder hitting sport when you have guys literally dying at younger ages, or having Alzheimer's at younger ages, and more frequently in football, and having a huge, it's a huge fucking thing right now. They're trying to change the game because it's too hard hitting. You can't tell me that is that's harder hitting than hockey. Sure, Scott Stevens isn't playing the NHL anymore, but on a night-to-night basis, no. And I don't even know about the whole, getting dings. I think that kind of goes more towards the hockey. I think every night, maybe that goes. I mean, even that, to be honest, I think that kind of goes more towards the football side of things, because Arian Foster was saying that if you're an NFL player, you're getting a surgery at the end of the season. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, almost everybody on the team, probably minus the quarterback, is getting a surgery at the end of the season on their shoulder, on their knee, on their ankle, on any type of joint, really. But I mean, the fighting is the only thing that I think is, because you can drop the gloves with anyone, and I mean, getting punched in the face never feels good. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just can't see, including every single play, you have, say, 5 offensive linemen, 3 or 4 defensive linemen, linebackers, safeties, running, just pushing forward into an offense, and then you have the quarterback and he dumps the ball up to someone. I mean, Rex Burkhead just got crushed in the Super Bowl when that defenseless receiver thing just got called, penalty just got called. I mean, oh my god. Excuse me, I don't know what my problem is. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't get what, especially just being someone that's played the game. I mean, honestly, I think I got more bumps and bruises from playing lacrosse. Way less protection. I mean, that's even harder hitting. And I think there's just a dynamic about being on the ice compared to being on a field. I mean, when you hit the ground, it's not like you're sliding. Your force is just you're coming together, your forces are negating against each other, and you're dropping to the ground. Or you're getting fucking hit, and you're being pushed into the ground. When you get hit in hockey, you're not getting pushed into the ground. If anything, you're getting hip checked. That's like the only way that you're not going into a board or being pushed at like a hip level or like a chest level. You're being pushed just side to side. With football, you gotta put someone to the ground. It's like you gotta wrestle, you gotta double leg takedown someone to the ground. With another man on top of you, with at least one man on top of you. I don't know. Just to me, it just, and then you have every single play, like I was saying before, with the whole defense and the whole offense colliding, and then someone's got to come to the ground. While with hockey, you have a face-off, you know, you can skate around and stuff, and just the dynamic of being on the ice and just being able to be more agile, and you can kind of like one stick on the puck, one hand on the stick, and just push the puck in front of you and kind of just slide your body sideways so you can kind of just slip out of a hit. It's just easier to not get hit and absorb hits. I mean, you can see someone embraced for impact against the boards. Honestly, though, the only thing that really does suck is getting hit against the boards. That shit fucking blows. But it's just getting hit is just not the same. It's just not the same. The sport itself, hockey, is harder than football, I think, hands down, because in football you have one dynamic, and with most of the players you have one dynamic, and more or less it's footwork. It's you moving your feet. And then with the quarterbacks, you know, you got to throw, you got footwork and throwing, and then you have running backs, and nowadays you got to be able to catch the ball. So running backs and receivers, and then safeties and cornerbacks, it's footwork, and you have to be able to have the hand-eye coordination to be able to catch the ball. So maybe you have 2, but it's not really. I mean, no, I'll give it to you. Let's just say it's 2. But with hockey, you have the dynamic of every single player has to be able to see the entire field. You have to have vision. The quarterback can get away with being one of like 3 people on the 11 men on the field that really have like the great vision. So maybe it's the center, the quarterback, and I guess whoever is really planned as like the number one guy to get the ball. I guess like the running back or something has to be able to see if he's getting the ball, where he's going to run to, and just the immediate vision of like working through the field. But the wide receivers, I mean, they got to look around the secondary, but that's more or less open. But the entire everyone on a hockey team needs to be able to see everything. So I say let's just say vision cancels out. But you have to be able to skate. So that cancels out with footwork. You need just as much hand-eye coordination as, if not better, because you're using a stick. So let's say those two cross out, and then you have the whole dynamic of just handling the puck. So just the overall stick handling, and then on top of that, you have guys, what's it called? So you have stick handling, skating, and then what else am I? Oh yeah, then the hand-eye coordination. Let's see. I don't know why I'm blanking right now. But skating is, it's harder to practice because you need the ice time. You need the ice time to be able to go out and practice. You can't, unless you're obvious. I mean, this is why Canadians are very good, and Finland's very good, the Russians are very good. It's because it's cold up there. You live in, I mean, Canada is the country of 1,000 lakes. So you have always got a lake, if not a pond, if not your backyard, and your fucking dad who's making everything by hand because you've only got like 11 people in your village because it's Canada, making your fucking backdoor ice rinks. But I think it's easier to find the space to do footwork training in anywhere compared to ice skating. Stick handling, I think, is definitely harder than almost any other talent in the entire. I mean, maybe shooting a basketball, like a three-pointer, is harder because that's pretty hard. But stick handling, I think, is up there as but then again, there's how being someone that has actively been trying to improve on stick handling, and I guess you can do it's there, but being, oh god, it's like you can rollerblade, but there is no replacing the real thing. Being on the ice is totally different than being on the street or something like that. While compared to basketball, dribbling skills, your handles, it's like you can do that anywhere. You can do that on your kitchen floor. You can do that in your backyard. You can do that on your tile. You can do that on the street. You can do it anywhere. So just the accessibility combined with the just pure difficulty of the skill itself is just so fucking. I mean, I think that just increases the difficulty level through the roof. So you have those two things involved, and then so you have your skating, you have your stick handling, and then you have your hand-eye coordination. And I mean, these guys, their hand-eye coordination is just ridiculous. To be able to, especially like guys like Sidney Crosby, to be able to bat the puck out of the air and into the net. Holy fuck! I don't think people can really appreciate enough how difficult that is. But yeah, at the end of the day, I got so aggravated when people who just don't play the sport and watch it. That's why I don't like the ESPN First Take and stuff like that. You have a bunch of dudes who haven't played the sport talking about how other guys are playing the sport, saying, oh, this is something you gotta do, oh, you should have done that, this, that, If you don't know it, you shouldn't talk about it. And I guess I don't know what it's really like to get fucking cleated, and or I mean, I guess when you're around it, I don't know. That's a whole different concept I'm not talking about right now. But at the end of the day, I just need people to know that hockey is a badass sport with a bunch of badass white dudes and a couple black guys, a few Spanish dudes. I don't think we have any Middle Easterns or Indians. And I don't really think we have. I think there's only been like one Asian dude. Shout out to Richard Park. It's pretty much just a bunch of badass white dudes going around on fucking with knives on their feet, on ice, just kicking ass. But it's not as savage and just as it's not as primal a sport as football. Football is just, it's like boxing. It's literally just trying to kill other people type of mentality. Hockey is not like that. It's not like that at all. The respect is sacred. The game is safer, especially for people with kids out there. The game is safer than football for sure. It's a rough game, and I mean you can get tons of. You can get surgeries and stuff. I was playing hockey and I almost got my throat sliced open by someone's skate. That shit was scary as fuck, and that shit happens. But I think at the end of the day, hockey is a chippier sport. There's a little bit more chippiness that comes with. Oh my god, I don't know what's wrong with me. That goes along with it. It's a little bit chippier, like with the cross checks and high sticks and stuff like that, the little things. But with football, that shit, there is no getting around hits like that. There just is none. And I hope that, hope people who don't play the sport realize that, the way that the game is just set up is just totally different, and that's hard to compare the two. But at the end of the day, just the hitting in football is unparalleled to every other sport. So that's